Two women, Petula and Tilda, plot a robbery and begin playing doctor with their old friend, who is an heiress of wealth. However, events do not unfold as they expected, and the outlaws find themselves in a nightmarish world dotted with perversions and sadistic torture. Their maze of hallucinations and fantasies turns into a frightening place. In the woods stands a car with its doors open and its trunk open. Nearby, 3 women are digging a hole. Their faces are concealed by masks and goggles. Having dug a rather deep hole, they dump several packages into it, their hands covered in blood. Along the way, they get his and the coke tracks for them. But no sooner do they enjoy the prospect of a future without poverty and the delights of tax-free income than the door is banged on with a furious shout, "Open up, police!" Prudently deciding not to open, the girls climb out the window on the fire escape to the fire escape from the guardians of the law. All would be well, except that they did not have time to take away the goods for almost $100,000, and now the pills pose criminalists. To restore the shaken financial situation, Tilda steals a purse from a random fellow traveler on the train. While Petula reports the incident on the phone to the hoarder, the conductor asks her for a ticket, but since she doesn't have one, she has to pay in kind. True, the payoff turns out to be somewhat different than one might initially think. The fetishist conductor submits to the girl's domination and licks her legs. After paying her off, Petula tidies herself up by standing in front of the mirror. Images from the distant past flicker in her mind, as she played with the toy railroad as a child running outside an old mansion. Upon reaching their destination, the girls discuss further plans. Some homeless man near the train station laughs at them, saying that witches always come back here. Meanwhile, they have only 2 days to return to the dealer to pay for the missing goods. The plan is to sneak into the house of a rich friend, Davney, with whom the cheaters were friends as children. Somewhere in the mansion is a safe with money. To get inside, you have to accept the rules, which is to play mother's daughter with the mistress. According to Davney's plan, the game is as follows. As a mother, she brings her daughter Tilda to see Petuli's doctor. Now an adult, it is very important to meticulously fulfill the whims of the frantic hostess. After changing clothes right in the cab, Tilda walks to the mansion in her school uniform. She walks into the kitchen and greets Long, calling her not by her first name, but her mother. While her mother is bothering to feed her daughter, the crook looks at the interior, figuring out where the safe might be. Petula, as the doctor prepares to enter the game, she hides the phones in the mailbox and prepares to voyage with the tools, while at the same time remembering the rules. There are only 3 of them. 1, everyone plays. 2, no outsiders. 3, you can't get out of the game, they're above. You're on a piece of cloth that hangs in a frame on the wall. Tilda is eating prepared sandwiches when her mother suddenly starts counting out her negligent daughter for dirty and long nails and unbrushed teeth. She grabs a huge scissor gonna cut her nails, which scares Tilda. The con woman is saved by the doorbell. It's Dr. Petula. The girlfriends act out a performance for the mistress with an inspection, which ends with a reminder that everyone should play Davney. I don't much like the superficial examination of my supposedly sick daughter, so she insists on a more thorough examination, which consists of torture. Instead of a hammer to check her reflexes, I have to use a meat hammer, smashing Tilda's knee in blood, which in turn pleases the mistress. There are children's drawings hanging on the wall, one of which shows the examination that has just occurred. But the others are frightening. There are police cars and bloody people on them. On the operating table, the caring mother invites the doctor over for dinner. Cooking a strange soup, she serves it to Petuli, bound by her daughter's ropes, but soon offers to escort the tired doctor to his room. Tilda is left alone. Memories come over her, similar to Petul's hallucinations. Lying on the bed, she hears some kind of noise. She goes to check what it is and stumbles upon Davna drinking pills in the kitchen. The landlady takes a knife from the sink and, caressing the doctor's neck with it, asks her to stay, saying she feels safer that way. Then she kisses her friend, after which they pretend to have intercourse on the table, supposedly with the man-doctor. In the morning, Tilda tries to pick the lock on the mailbox. Her partner catches her doing this obscene activity. Tilda wonders how much the landlady paid for the doctor's visit, but the envelope only contains hand-drawn money. This infuriates Tilda, but they still have 28 hours to find it. And to calm down a bit, Tilda pops pills, thinking she is using Vicodin. However, it is not a painkiller at all. The girl catches a fit. She sees herself and her friends as children. Petula also pops a pill and goes into the house. Tilda rushes out in pursuit of the little girls she sees. She runs around the acid-colored estate, ill-advised as to what she is doing. She's haunted by memories. Here, she and the girls are in the treehouse. She starts arguing because the silly game is boring her. Davna argues with her. Then Tilda pushes her. Misjudging her strength, the hostess falls down. The flashback continues. The girls in the hospital corridor discuss what happened. The doctor informs her that Davna is unlikely to ever be able to have children because of her multiple abdominal injuries. In the next scene, an adult Davna stands in front of a closet full of pregnancy tests. A stoned Petula sneaks around the mansion, grabbing at the walls. She's glitching. She imagines herself on a train. After struggling to find the car keys in the landlady's bedroom, the crook runs outside to get her friend. She drags her to the car to drive away, but Davna appears with a baseball bat and stuns both of them with blows to the head. Detective Siegel prepares for another day's work, tries to eat breakfast with leftovers from last night's, or even the night before, then gets into the police car. There's a child's toy dangling from his keychain, the same one the girls gave him years ago during an interview. There are wanted notices for 2 drug-dealing girls hanging in his workplace. On the phone, he informs them that he will personally take over the case. Davna sits on the floor next to the 2 girls, who are tied up with rope. Looking like a long braid of hair, the girls try to get out and say something, but the gags prevent them from doing so. The noises they make annoy the mistress. She yells at them and calls herself their mother, but the trill of the doorbell distracts her. Outside the door is Detective Siegel. He is brought in by a neighbor's complaint about strange noises similar to a woman's screams. Davna admits that the cause is a new medicine she is not yet used to. The landlady wants to send the detective away, but he notices water dripping from the ceiling and unceremoniously offers to see what is leaking there. A conversation ensues. It turns out that Davna's grandparents have recently died. Then, Siegel sees an old photo of the hostess with others from her childhood. He wonders what has become of them. But Davna admits that she has no contact with them. She freaks out, reacting too violently and emotionally. The detective realizes she knows something and asks where they are. The landlady prefers not to answer, but then a noise is heard from the second floor. The man wants to check what is there, but is stopped by a shout demanding a search warrant. Davna, uncommonly reasonable for the town lunatic, which is what she calls herself, argues to the detective why he should leave. He has not long to retire, and there is no need to spoil his reputation by complaining about an illegal search. Davna diligently boards up the windows to make it harder to escape or get in. At the same time, Pitula and Tilda prowl the house in search of the safe. They meet in the dining room. The hostess announces that she wants to play a game and reads a riddle poem. If the guests win, she takes all the blame. Otherwise, the grave will unfold. Petula does not understand what this means, but Tilda persuades her to keep searching for the safe on the clues. While she distracts her mother, Petula runs around the mansion until she discovers the safe in the wall. Using the numbers from each clue, she opens it. Inside lies Davna's inheritance. The girl finds Tilda together. They leave home right at night. The heroines go out on the highway and try to slow down the car, but no one wants to take hitchhikers. Tired, Tilda sits down on the side of the road to rest, which causes an argument to break out. During the altercation, Petula is hit by a car. In the next scene, she comes to, confined to a wheelchair, and Tilda sits in a small wooden cage, no bigger than a child's crib. Davna admits that this night reminds her of the night she poisoned her grandparents, who wanted to turn her over to the asylum. Then she makes a cut on Petula's face, and afterwards she scarifies Tilda as well. A homeless man, whom Petula Tilda meets near the train station, is brought to the police station. He says he saw the missing girls from the ad. They looked like mermaids under the crack a long time ago. Informs the guests that the game is over and they are now free. Only there is one nuance. All the newspapers have their pictures printed. The police are looking for them for drug trafficking, although because of the fresh scars, they may not recognize them. The landlady wants them to leave as soon as possible, since I still have to do renovation work and have time before the baby is born. Tilda is snapping at not calling crazy, reminding me of something about not being able to get pregnant because of the injury. Davna denies reality, naming the doctor as the father. Here, Petula, who has been silent until now, intervenes in the conversation. She again impersonates the doctor and asks her mistress to come into the office. The question is about the pregnancy. Surgery may be required. The mistress of the mansion lies on the operating table, and the crooks in surgical suits prepare for the operation. At this time, Detective Siegel drives up to the house. He hears music and wanders around the house with his gun drawn. The policeman manages to enter the makeshift operating room just as one of the girls draws a scalpel over Davna. At gunpoint, he drives them away from the body, forcing them to raise their hands and kneel down. But just as he was getting closer, the recumbent Davna jumps up and stabs him in the back with the scalpel. The detective falls, and Tilda Davna finishes him off, turning his body into a bloody mess. Approached with a pancake look by a shocked Petula, Davna holds out a meat tenderizer hammer for her to partake in the carnage as well. When Petula lowers the first blow on the breathless body, they become bound by one murder. The next scene is the very beginning. The three girls bury the dismembered body in a hole in the woods before returning to the mansion. With a police car still parked in front of the house, they overtake it to a pond and push it into the water. After a while, all three eat dinner at the table as if nothing had happened, continuing the game of mother, daughter, and doctor. Each character's behavior becomes increasingly insane. Tilda becomes hysterical like a small child. Petula cuts her face as she tries to shave, and Davna's train of consciousness has passed the normality station a long time ago. At some point, Dr. Petula begins to be tormented by hallucinations. She sees a bloodied Detective Siegel. The girl finds a children's toy in the mailbox, the same one they gave the policeman. She digs up the detective's grave, but finds no bones there. Back at the house, the crook falls exhausted and falls asleep. She dreams of the train that has always brought them. All of its passengers are either sleeping in unnatural poses or dead. Waking up, the girl finds a book under the couch, which describes the last events of her life, only in the form of rules for the game. A succession of vague memories rolls over the rogue girl, including how her friends abused her. She can't remember how long it's been here. This time she always escapes from this mansion, but then comes back when she forgets. How many times she has escaped in all you can count by the scars on her arm. Long has left one for each escape. Petula rolls up her sleeves, pick up a dozen marks. The girl wants to run away, but is confronted at the door by Tilda. The friend imperiously tells Daphne to go to her room, something she obediently does. Petula begs her friend to leave. When the dealer calls, Tilda answers, but her whole speech about the police raid has long since been learned by heart. She doesn't even remember what the dealer to whom she is making excuses looks like. Even worse, she doesn't even know what day it is. Tilda convinces her friend to go with her. They go to the nursery. Somewhere along the looped road is a steam train, where a police car stands near a toy replica of a mansion, and Davna is drawing in a sketchbook with Siegel brand paints. But even that isn't the finale. Tilda slits her wrists in the bathroom, Petula hangs herself in her room, and Davna drinks poison in the kitchen. The final scene shows an abandoned and overgrown mansion. Only in the kitchen is an elderly woman washing dishes, as Davna once did. The sound of a door opening and a woman's voice is heard.